And today I'm going to go over a cauliflower mac and cheese with you, right? A mac and cheese. So here's the thing, a lot of people these days are finding that they cannot digest carbohydrates. However, they still want to enjoy the wonderful comfort and creaminess and richness that is a mac and cheese. The cauliflower vegetable has become quite popular, right? In the past few years, we figured out that it is a power vegetable. It is full of nutrients, vitamin C, vitamin K, ton of fiber, so it's really good for you. However, because it's kind of pale in color, like I have the white one here, it comes in green, purple, and orange as well. So not all of them are pale in color, but because it's pale in color, people have been, I think, historically less interested in it. Right, so a couple of years ago, figured out it is a power vegetable. It is quite delicious and it is quite versatile, right? It's super versatile. Now I have to admit, I was really late to the cauliflower party. Like, I just have memories of cauliflower as a child that was really mushy, really overcooked, and I hated the smell of it. So I was always a no thank you to cauliflower. So it took a while to really embrace it. It was my love of pizza that had me embrace it because, you know, I could no longer have pizza crust. So when I heard of cauliflower pizza crust, I was like, let me try this thing. I tried it, I loved it, and then I was sold, right? So there's, you can rice cauliflower, make rice with it, and just so many different uses. So we're doing our mac and cheese. Now here's the thing about our cauliflower. It's got a lot of flavor on its own. It's kind of nutty, kind of sweet. But with this recipe, we're going to add a bunch of flavor to it, right? We are going to make a delicious cream sauce. So you're going to come away knowing how to make a bechamel, which is one of like the mother sauces in French cuisine. One of the sauces we had to learn in culinary school, but it's a great cheese sauce, makes it the base for a great cheese sauce. And we're going to steep, I have some milk that's been steeped with onion and cloves and bay leaf, so that's one level of flavor. And then we've got to make a roux, which with flour and butter, which will cook for a little bit and get all more nuttiness. Another level of flavor, we're going to add some dry mustard, which will add a little bit of tang, right? So we are all about building flavor and having this vegetable, which can look like it's a little bland, really pop with flavor. So I'm really excited about this recipe. Okay, so I wanted to show you how to break into a cauliflower. This is just half of my cauliflower. I like having a flat surface when you're cutting vegetables, especially if you're not super comfortable with a knife, because that gives you some stability. And make sure that your cutting board is anchored maybe with a wet paper towel or some kind of like silicone or silk pad that's going to keep it from moving and slipping on you. So the cauliflower, you get a flat surface and you can just always break into it like this. What's so wonderful about it is that it has its stem, and then just kind of, you can pop it off. So you can definitely use your knife, but sometimes you can just use your hands. And if you have a little one at home who wants to help, this is a great job for a child to just kind of pop those off, and then you can go in with your knife and cut it down a little further, which is what I'm going to do here. I have worked as a private chef for many years and often had children in the kitchen with me. And also when I taught early childhood, I cook with children all the time. So it's a great task for them, very hands-on, gets them excited about cooking and about eating the thing that they're cooking. So if you have someone who's a little hesitant about vegetables, this is actually a really great recipe for them to try, because I mean, most children love mac and cheese, right? So last one, I'm gonna break into it, cut it down just a little. I don't want super small pieces, and here's why. I'm only gonna steam it for a few minutes, right? Because we're gonna keep it kind of crunchy. I like a little texture. But once we combine it with our cheese sauce, which will be warm, we're gonna pop it in the oven for a few minutes, so it will continue to cook. So again, you know, cauliflower when overcooked tends to be a little mushy, and we're trying to avoid that. So here is, let me get rid of those pieces. I have some water steaming. Don't need my cutting board anymore, so I'm gonna move them down. Here I've got just some water that's been steaming. There's probably a ½ inch of water in there. Again, we don't want to boil it, so in goes the cauliflower. And there's a tiny bit of salt in the water. Again, we're going to add flavor. I'm going to add a little more because I didn't add very much. This is going to steam for about 5 minutes. Now, while that steams up, I'm going to tell you a little more about building the flavor in our recipe. So, here is the milk that I was telling you about. I cooked it down. So you put it on a low flame. It's about 3 cups of milk. It's got 1/4 of an onion in it with a clove and a bay leaf. And so those are super aromatic, and that's like steeping and infusing our milk, right? So that is warm. We're going to incorporate it into our, we're going to make our cheese sauce, and it's going to be warm. This is the flour and the butter, which makes a roux, R-O-U-X, and that is a thickener. And it's also really nutty and flavorful and delicious. And then here I have some cheddar cheese that I grated myself. And then I have I couldn't find a block of Gouda at the market, so I got some sliced Gouda. Now, I highly recommend shredding your own cheese, just because a lot of times when cheese is already shredded, they're adding something to it to preserve it, to keep the shreds from sticking to each other. So to get the purest form of cheese, shred it yourself. It's super simple. You can do it with a food processor. I did it with a regular box grater. And what I have here is a sharp cheddar cheese and like a medium-bodied Gouda. You can use any kind of cheese you want. A mild cheddar will work. Some people add cream cheese to their mac and cheese or to the cauliflower and cheese, so that works as well. So really, a pepper jack is kind of nice, or a horseradish jack if you like a little bit of a bite to it. Anything goes. Any kind of cheese you have on hand. So that is our cheese. And then as far as the spices, we're going to add some fresh black pepper, of course some salt, and then I have some dry mustard here, sometimes called English mustard. And dry mustard is made from mustard seed, the same seeds that make the mustard that you have in your refrigerator. And on its own, it kind of has like a pungent, sort of bittery taste. It doesn't really bloom until you add some kind of liquid to it, or you add it to something. It has a little bit of a bite, a little bit of tang, and it really just kicks things up a notch, sort of just another level of flavor. So it's often used in cheese sauces. So this is really great mustard, and we're going to add a little bit of that. You can also add a little bit of hot sauce if you like a little more spice in there. But these are the things that are going to make it really, really delicious. You're going to check on our cauliflower. I'm going to grab a towel here. Safety first in the kitchen. And you can see the steam coming off of that pot. I'm going to move these guys over a little bit. So you can see it a little better. There it is, and you can see there's not a lot of liquid in there, not at all. I use a big enough pot so that our cauliflower can cook or soften quickly. It's really more of a blanch. I'm going to give it about 2 more minutes, and what we're going to do is we're going to get the cauliflower out of our pot, and then we're going to put it on a sheet pan, or you can put it in a bowl, or you know, anything that will allow it to drain. And the important piece is you want to have some kind of paper towels, right? Because we want to pull out, we want to make sure to get as much of that water out, because we don't want it to thin out our cheese sauce. We're going to work on making this beautiful, creamy, delicious cheese sauce, and if we leave the water in, then, you know, it'll kind of mess with the texture of it. So we are going to work on getting as much of that water out. So we're going to strain this, and then we're going to build our cheese sauce. That was a few minutes. Other tools that you will need, you want to grab a wooden spoon. That's going to help us when we're rubber spatula will help make sure that our sauce doesn't stick. And then you're going to want some kind of casserole dish for gratins, or like even a baking pan, right? That will work, just because we're going to go ahead and bake our mac and cheese. Okay, I'm going to say that's enough. Now obviously if you go a little smaller with your florets, it'll cook a lot faster. I didn't want to go too small, but here, you can see, flip that over. There we go. Show you what this looks like. So I didn't use the stem. Again, the stem really great for purees, but you can use it. I just love the chunkiness, the texture of these florets. Get all of that out. Try to get it in a single layer, because that's going to allow the most water to drain. Almost done. I always, my sisters laugh at me because I never like to leave anything in the pot. I always have like my rubber spatula or my spoon ready to get absolutely every little piece. I don't believe in waste at all. Just a couple more chunks here. Okay. Here is a nice even layer of cauliflower. There you go. It's kind of soft and tender to the touch, but not mushy. Like I wouldn't be able to squeeze it through and have it and mash it with my hand, which sometimes, you know, people tend to do, overcook their cauliflower. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this water because we don't need it anymore. In goes the butter, right? So here's our butter already cut up into cubes. That's going to help it melt down. And I'm actually going to make a little more bechamel than I need, because I like to keep some on hand to just store it. So our butter is in there. You can see it bubbling and sizzling. I'm going to add our equal amount of flour, and as you add it, you're going to whisk it. You don't want it to start to cook on you and create lumps, right? And I'm going for a nutty. I like the roux. You can make different levels like this, like a blonde roux, and I like it to be a little nutty because it complements the nuttiness that is already in our cauliflower. So I let it go a little darker. And this is our thickener, right? So it's going to add flavor, but it's also going to thicken our sauce. And it's really quick because I've already heated my milk. It's going to develop, the sauce is something that's going to develop very quickly. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe. See you next time.